Faith is the realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen. It's a beautiful line that Paul writes in our second reading in his letter to Hebrews. But what does it actually mean? When we talk about having faith in God, we aren't just saying trust that God is real. There are plenty of philosophical and logical arguments proving the existence of God. Some of the greatest philosophers ever all created philosophical arguments that proved the existence of God. And many of them lived before Jesus was ever born. And we know that God is real. We also know for a fact from plenty of sources that were not even Christian that Jesus was real. He was born, had a large number of followers who he taught the moral life to. He performed miracles, reportedly, in front of them, and then was crucified. All of that is facts from people who have nothing to gain from that information. Faith really has the rubber meet the road, finally, in two places. And if you believe these two statements, then you have to believe everything else. First, that Jesus is the Son of God, who assumed a human nature to himself and became man. And the second almost follows as a direct consequence of that Jesus resurrected after the crucifixion. If you have faith in those two things, then everything else has to be believed. Because faith is based on the trustworthiness of the one who tells you something. Think about that practically. If there's someone who you know that lies constantly, or even lies periodically, everything they tell you from that moment on that you learn that they have lied to you before will always carry some amount of doubt. But if Jesus Christ is the Son of God and he teaches something, then the source of the faith is God. God has never, will never, and can never lie. It's literally impossible. So God is the absolute most trustworthy source that there could ever be. So when our Lord tells us that he is the source of our salvation, and we attain that salvation through our faith in him, we know that if we have faith in him, then our goal of salvation is essentially already present. That is why faith is the realization of what is hoped for and evidence of things not seen. It is not enough, though, to just mentally or even verbally say that you have faith in Jesus. We are physical beings with a soul that's combined. We live in accord with what we believe. So we have to not just believe the faith, we have to live it out. So when Jesus says in our gospel today that he will return and that when he does, we have to be ready like servants waiting on the return of their master. We know what that means. It means that when Jesus comes again, we have to be living out our faith. And the best way to do that, since there's going to be no warning signs, is to live out our faith at all times. Not just because we're afraid of, damnation or we want to live in paradise forever, but because of our true love of God. We know that he wants what's best for us, so if this is the life that he wants for us, and we love him, the proper respect is to want it as well. It's not just, I want to get the prize, so I live the right way. It's, I love God, so I live in accord with what he teaches. And it isn't something to be afraid of either. The Lord coming back is the time that every faithful servant hopes for. The time when we will finally be rid of all the pain and suffering of this world. The time where we will be fully united to our loving God who wants nothing more than to be with us for eternity. And if we're able to remain faithful and live out our faith today and every day, we will be able to hear at the end of time what we all long to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Come and share your master's joy.